Just wanted to point out something that very much irritated me while editing this video. The top of her head is cut off throughout. Not sure how this happened, given that she has a full-size monitor in front of her and an additional monitor on her phone camera beside her, but yeah. Also, just knowing some people will absolutely be offended and upset by the fact that she doesn't like your American nuggies, this is definitely reason to conclude that she does not like America and is, in fact, a hater. So today I thought it would be fun to look at some foods that taste completely different to me when I go to America. I'm not talking about specialty foods. America has a lot of choice in foods. You can get whatever you want in a lot of supermarkets in America. Boy oh boy are your supermarkets big. For example, you can get the Irish brands themselves in some supermarkets, but it's going to cost you a small fortune to get them. I'm talking about your regular everyday things that you would most commonly buy in America. I'm not talking about if you go out of your way to buy the European versions of foods. There is so much choice in America. You can get what you want. Maybe you want to try some of the stuff that I suggest to you today. It could be fun. I was actually looking into the scientific reasons why some things taste better to me here and they taste worse to you there. Apparently, scientifically, your palate is formed in gestation and also through breastfeeding, so what your mom likes goes to be what you kind of like. Taste receptors have evolved differently around the world, but that doesn't make sense why my mom loves salad and I like pizza. I personally think she's in denial. Yeah. Salad tastes so delicious. It doesn't. Avocado is just as nice as a bar of chocolate. No, it isn't. Okay, before I get into today's video, I would be super appreciative if you would subscribe and like or comment for the old algorithm. I don't like having to ask you. It's just something I have to do. It's just a thing I have to do. I hate it as much as you do. If you want me to shut up about it, you could like and subscribe and comment, and eventually I'll shut up. Probably not anytime soon, but yeah. Okay, so the first thing that tastes completely different, I've covered on this channel before, but it's bread, and I'm going to explain to you why it tastes completely different. So I've simplified it before by saying it's to do with the sugar, but actually I found out it's to do with the high fructose syrup content. Corn syrup, more specifically, and that tastes sugary. Some people have tweeted me and commented at me that you can get sugar-free bread in America. Of course you can, but it's not your generic off-the-shelf bread. If I buy a white loaf of bread in Ireland and a white loaf of bread in America, they just taste completely differently. To me, my palate, my European palate, your white bread tastes to me like a cake. And I'm sure you've heard the story by now, how Subway had to reclassify its sandwiches because the bread that Subway uses does not classify as bread within Ireland. It's that sugary. Ireland's High Court basically ruled that Subway bread could not be classified as bread, and therefore the tax for it had to be a different kind of tax than it would be for the staple, which is bread. So Subway sandwiches are more expensive in Ireland. Hooray! In Irish law, bread is classified as a staple and has zero value-added goods tax on it. However, Subway bread does, so it's more expensive now in Ireland. In fact, they're subject to a tax of 13.5%, so I'm not sure who wins in this equation. You have to pay more for your Subway. The next thing that tastes completely different is chicken McNuggets from McDonald's. And I got teased about this recently by some of you guys, but actually, chicken McNuggets in Ireland are made of pure chicken breast. I'm sure you've heard what they're made out of in America. I don't know. Yeah. Here's the thing though, I really wouldn't care how they're made if they taste as good, but they really don't. And to me, American chicken McNuggets taste gross. They don't taste like real chicken at all. It's so strange, and the texture of them is really bizarre. And I don't mean to be shitting on your nuggies, I really don't. I'm a big fan of nuggies, but more a fan of the Irish nuggies, to be perfectly honest. There are a lot of laws in Ireland that state they have to have your meat at a certain level of quality, and that meat usually needs to be sourced from Ireland. Or again, the taxes are much higher. In tribute to this, McDonald's has made a chicken nugget that is shaped like Ireland. That part is a lie, but you get where I'm coming from. It does look like it's shaped like Ireland. Fun fact, did you know chicken nuggets are shaped 4 different ways? They're actually designed like that. It's not just random shapes. So the next time you have chicken nuggets, check out the Irish shaped chicken nugget. Makes you think they're all random, but they're not. The next thing that tastes completely different in America is candy. This one is hard to nail down. Describing a taste to somebody is really difficult. I'm going to point though to your Twizzlers. Twizzlers to me just taste like sugar, like plastic sugar. In contrast, I would point to the Refresher bar, which is, I suppose the best way to describe it to Americans is like a really hard taffy, but it's kind of juicy, and again, it's of course made of artificial flavors and preservatives, but it just tastes richer somehow, whereas to my palate, the American candy tastes a bit more plasticky. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm just saying that the palates are different and they do taste different in different countries.
I'm offended.
Okay, I gotta get to this next one because it's a staple in the Diane diet. It's chocolate. Okay, chocolate, as you've probably heard, in Ireland is much richer, much creamier, much milkier. Now, I appreciate there isn't necessarily milk in milk chocolate, but the taste of it is a lot more directed that way. In contrast, American chocolate is just very different. The first time I had a Hershey's, I really didn't know why you guys liked it so much. However, over time, I've definitely developed a taste for it. However, it's a really specific taste and it's totally different from what I like in Ireland. I feel like in Irish chocolate, I can taste the cocoa a lot better. In American chocolate, I definitely taste a more peanut buttery taste, even if the bar itself isn't supposed to be peanut butter. And again, I'm sure that's because our palates are different and Americans adore peanut butter. In fact, to a European palate, American chocolate tastes quite bitter, kind of tangy almost. I really like American chocolate now too. It doesn't travel well though if you're sending it, so just beware. By the time it gets from America to Ireland, it kind of tastes a bit like it's been on a flight, so.
Insightful.
I've heard some really rude people say that American chocolate tastes like vomit, and I have to say I have not found that to be the case at all. But there is a reason for this. A lot of American production lines put their chocolate through a process called lipolysis. This breaks down the fatty acids in the dairy and produces a chemical called butyric acid. It kind of reminds some people of the taste of vomit. This is not because it actually tastes like vomit, but because there's a distinct smell to it. And your smell is actually a lot of how you taste. So while I can't relate, I get where people are coming from. Fortunately, America has a lot of choice when it comes to chocolate. They have a lot of imported chocolate too. Next up, dairy. Okay, I'm not going to argue with this one. Irish dairy is just superior, and I've converted a lot of you guys to Kerrygold. In fact, I should have stakes in Kerrygold at this stage. Together, I think we've come up with the reason for this. Irish grass is super green. Most cows in Ireland are fed the green grass. They run around the fields all day and they eat the green grass, and the milk is produced beautifully, and so is the butter. A lot of Americans cotton on to Kerrygold, and I'm not going to say it's just down to me, but it is infinitely a superior type of butter, any Irish butter, than an American butter. The milk just tastes better too, although some people just hate milk, so fair enough. The sad part is though, you guys are going to have to pay a lot more for Irish butter and Irish dairy in general. That doesn't seem fair to me. Maybe you guys should start producing it the same way that we produce Irish butter and Irish milk. Of course, it means it costs more to rear the cows like that, so in turn, again, it'll probably be more expensive. But in my opinion, it's worth it. It's so much better. The next thing that tastes completely different in Ireland and America is marshmallows. Of all the things, marshmallows. Marshmallows are hugely popular in America and not so much popular in Ireland and throughout Europe. I think the reason for this is in America they really are a treat, a total delicacy. They are very sugary. In Ireland I find it really easy to get the sugar-free kind, and usually that's what I opt for, and honestly it's pretty tasteless, whereas the American marshmallows are way nicer and you put them to good use in a lot of desserts and also on campfires. Next up, Coca-Cola. Another staple of the Diane diet, tastes completely different in America. And this is again down to the syrup. Sugar versus corn syrup. In Ireland, we actually get a supply of both imported to us. But I can definitely taste the difference between the sugar and the corn syrup. Also in America, you get a lot of sodas, which is basically watered down syrup. The sugary kind of Coke is of course way nicer unless you're going diet, in which case there's not that much difference. This one's totally down to personal taste, so I'm not going to say one is better than the other. It's just, to me, sugar is better than syrup. The next weird thing that tastes completely different is Oreos. Oreos in America, I get why they're a national favorite. In Ireland, they're freaking gross. In America, you have the really black Oreos and they're just really soft and they taste like actual bakery food. Whereas in Ireland, by the time we get them, they taste really plasticky, they crumble apart, and they're not as dark as you have in America. I'm not sure if this is down to a manufacturing reason, I couldn't track it down, or if it's due to how they taste upon importation. But I'm going to say it's manufacturing because they're a significantly different colour in Ireland. The next thing that tastes completely different in America is cereal. You guys are allowed to put a lot of really bad things in your cereal which taste really good. In Ireland, we have a lot of laws that don't allow us to market those at children. And if you're not allowed to market them at children, what's the point of bringing them in? So, we generally have healthier cereal. Of course, we have a few staples like Frosties or Frosted Flakes as you know them in America. Cocoa Pops, which I believe are Choco Krispies in America. Might be wrong on that one. We have a good few unhealthy cereals, but largely Irish cereals tend to be healthier and the American cereals taste just better because they're bad for me. I love them. And the number one thing that tastes completely different in Ireland and America, and I have to say it's got to be a win for both sides on this one because both are as good as one another but completely different and called the same thing. It's bacon. Bacon in America is a crispy, hard thing that you can pick up with your fingers and eat it like that. In Ireland, bacon rashers are like soft and squishy and juicy and they're just both as good as one another but they taste completely different even though they're technically the same thing. Let me know if you found any of these surprising today. I'd love to hear anything you've tried in another country that tasted completely different but was supposedly the same thing. That's it for today. See you on the other side. Bye. Chewy doesn't know much about bacon, but he likes sausages. I know! Sausages! Sausages! Good boy. Marshmallows.